Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Solano College Sports Network. On this special segment of On Campus, I'm here with Zay Randle, Cameron Anderson, and Blake Molina. I'm your host, Jaeden Smith, and let's get right into it. So, now all of you guys here are sophomores and have been in this class for a little while now. And what can you say, what made you most interested in being in this class? I'll start with you, Zay.
Well, for me, it's kind of a funny story. I enrolled last semester kind of late, so I was struggling to get all my classes together, and I was like, it was like the last minute thing, and I needed one more class so I can be eligible to play in the season, right? That's when Cobbs was like, bro, you might as well just join my this sports class. That's what he called it, this sports class. I'm like, what do you mean sports class? He's like, bro, it's literally just a sports class. Come on, I'll show you. So I came to class with him one time, and we was just talking about sports, like for 45 minutes straight. I'm like, all right, I'm joining this class. So that's pretty much what got me into it, and I'm not gonna lie, I fell in love with it.
Okay, I'll go straight to you, Cam.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was coming after my senior year in high school, and, you know, I was hoping to play baseball somewhere. I didn't have any offers from 4 years, so there were a few community college baseball coaches that reached out to me, like DVC and Laney and Solano. And so I went out in the summer. My mom was a teacher here, and so she knew about the sports broadcasting program with Greg Poff. And so I came in over the summer with my brother and fell in love immediately. You know, he like sort of instilled, he was like, oh, you got some nice vocals. You could definitely be, you know, an announcer here. And I've grown up watching sports forever and a huge sports fan. So it seemed like it would click perfectly. And yeah, I was just hooked immediately and tried it out in the fall, called some football games, and I just loved it. Yeah.
Well, first off, before I give my thoughts, I just want to say, Zay, that was a great Cobbs impression. If you know Cobbs, that was spot on. For me, it was just a matter of, I always wanted to do this. When I decided to come, I dropped out for a couple years back then, and I decided to go back to school in 2020. During the COVID, I did that semester. So I was just kind of building towards, you know, when can I fit this into my schedule? When can I take this? I didn't really know how the class would be ran except for sports broadcasting. That's what I was looking to do. So eventually, you know, I'm in school for maybe another year, and then I decided to take it. And, you know, right away, before we even have our first class, you know, I reach out to Poff, and he tells me, hey, come to this basketball game. It was, I believe, a women's game. It was one of their first games, just kind of see what we're doing, get some camera work in. And I was really excited. And then next day, I get COVID. And instantly I thought, this has to be some crazy sign or something like that. So I deal with COVID, and during that time, during COVID, I'm sitting there thinking two things. One, is this really what I want to be doing, and should I be putting all my effort into this? Because, like, you know, at this time, you know, I've already been in the class. You know, I was getting ready to get in the class, and I kind of saw the dynamic of it, and it was kind of a lot, and it wasn't even going into, you know, what we were really doing. Mm-hmm. So I thought about that, and then the other part of me during COVID was, when's Squid Game Season 2 going to come out? You know, I really thought about that. So when I got in there, though, you know, Poff just kind of asked me, hey, you know, he went over in the class what we'd be doing, you know, and he was just kind of asking people, and I told him straight up, I want to get in the booth, you know, whenever I can, first game or 5 games down the road. But that's what I really want to do. I didn't have interest in the camera or the TriCaster and stuff like that. I did camera work, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's really just not for me in particular. So, you know, eventually Poff kind of threw me in there. I did, you know, Cam was doing play-by-play. My first game was men's basketball, and, you know, right away my first two thoughts were, I felt like I really could enjoy this and something I can do. And, you know, Cam and I's chemistry in like little time I thought was really good to start, and it just flowed well. So that made me also kind of want to do it more, like working with Cam in particular, like, okay, let's see, maybe we can be a 1-2 combo. And, you know, we did that, and it worked. I thought it worked out well. I thought, you know, it really did. So, you know, for me, it was always in the back of my mind, I wanted to do something like this. It just, I didn't know when I was going to be able to do it or when I could fit it in. And, you know, they always say, timing is everything. I just felt like the right time came, and, you know, good timing, because, you know, maybe I do it a semester or a year before this, and I don't meet any of you guys. Right. Maybe I catch Cam at the end when I'm leaving, or, you know, but I wouldn't meet guys like Jaeden, Colin, Garrison, and so forth. So, you know, just those kind of things.
Not Zach.
Not Zach, yeah. Well, no, Zach would have been
no,
with
I
you.
meant like it would have been better. Right, yeah.
Oh, no, not at all. Absolutely not.
I thought you left his name on purpose.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I know, Blake, you basically hit all points on this one, but you guys are the main ones behind the mic, basically. What made you so motivated to be behind the mic, and what is that experience like? I'll go straight to you, Cam.
Well, that was sort of the only idea I had. Like, the second I came in the studio, I was like, I want to be behind the mic. I've only done that here, actually. I think I've operated a camera for a quarter of basketball, and I think that's it. That's the only thing I've done outside of announcing. That's not Brad. I'm serious. Like, I just, I got in and immediately, it's funny, a quick story. Like, the first game I was supposed to do, I didn't show up to class the week before, and I didn't tell Poff. And so he was really mad at me, and he said, you're not going to do color because you didn't say anything. You didn't show up. You're not ready. And I showed up to the first game. I think it was Rodriguez football game, and it was basically just me as the color. Like, it was only me and him. He was doing play-by-play, and I was really the only option for color. So I jumped in and just immediately loved it and did pretty well. And it just felt like pretty natural. So I've just stuck with it because it wasn't really a huge learning curve. Obviously, I had to perfect a lot of things with how I enunciate, how I talk, how I make myself sound interesting. Still working on that, but the analysis part of the sports, a part of watching a game was already pretty much there, just because I've heard and seen so many games and been a part of playing multiple sports. So it was pretty natural for me.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I kind of hit all the points on the last discussion, but kind of piggybacking off that, some things. One thing in particular, as I was going along as it drove me that I still wanted to do this because, there's an age gap, between most of us. Me and Cam have pretty solid age gap. So one thing that impressed me is, when I was working with the first teams, I'm like, this kid knows his stuff. I mean, this guy, he knows his things. And not just Solano, just in general. I mean, we would talk in the back. I mean, dude's bringing up stats from, 1980. I'm like, dude, I don't even know that. I was born way before, before you. That type of thing. So it was just, working with the people in the group. People were coming in and out. Last semester we had some guys, Cobbs, he's no longer in the class. He was, a great guy to work around. And, we've had people come in and out with Dakari too. So one thing, though, is, we were doing baseball. It was my first semester, and I think I kept saying either or something afterwards. And it was after an inning. We took our break, and Poff came up to me and was like, look, you gotta, and he got tough with me. You gotta stop saying whatever I was saying, or I'm gonna rip you out of the broadcast. He said that to me, and we're getting ready to start, top of the sixth inning, whatever inning it was. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, it really clicked, okay, okay, I gotta really focus up. And then since then, I might say every once in a while or stuff like that, but in my mind, if I do say it, I'll know, and I'll know not to do it less. I mean, we're humans, we make mistakes. Mm-hmm. But that particular conversation really kind of opened my mind, was like, okay, I really got to buckle down on this. He wants this, the best it can possibly be, and that's what I need to be bringing and giving every time, I'm on color, or, maybe Cam's gone, I'm doing play-by-play. I need to be at my best 110%. And that conversation in particular, my first semester, really kicked it into gear.
It sparked something, basically.
Yeah, and it made me just a lot more laser focused.
Okay, straight to you, Zay.
Well, for me, I've been a part of sports my entire life, so I always kind of had a feeling that whatever I do with my life, it's gonna be revolving around sports, in some shape, way, or fashion. I've always known that with my life. And then when I first began my college journey, I had a communications major, and then I took a liking to psychology. I fell in love with psychology. I just love talking about how the mind works and all of that and things. And then, so coming into last semester, when I transferred, I was still a psychology major. And this is when I joined this class. And since then, I've changed because, I've always liked communications. That's what I began with. And then coming back into this class, I really got to get in the setting, and I got to get a real feel for how things are done. And I fell in love with it again, right? So that's when I wanted to change my major back to communications. And then I did one football game, and I was behind the camera, and I learned a lot of tricks. It was pretty fun because Zach kept on calling I was camera 3. I'm never going to forget. I was camera 3. He kept on calling my number. He kept on calling my camera number. I'm like, yeah, I got the shots. I'm getting all that right angles. I'm doing this, right? Mm-hmm. And I had a blast. And I wasn't really, I was open to it, obviously, but I was kind of afraid to get in the booth and talk with you guys, right? But Paul, he had approached me multiple times, like, you want to hop in a booth? I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And I just kept on pushing off a little bit.
We were asking you too.
Right.
Right.
I mean, we
especially
were pushing.
yeah, for the football season
Yeah.
for sure.
Right, so I did that one game behind the camera, and then the second game, I did the first half, where I was on camera 3 again. I was getting all the right angles, but I was hearing, this is when Cobbs did it. He hopped in the booth for the first half, so I got to hear him doing the broadcast with you guys, like, all right, cool, he's over there, he's just talking, and meanwhile I'm on the camera and I'm having a blast and whatnot, but he's talking about what I love. I love football. So when I hopped in that booth second half, I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. There's no way I'm going back. I'm sitting here, I'm talking about the sport that I love. I got so much passion for not just football, but all sports. I feel like sports it's a great way for us to mature and grow as human beings. We learn a lot of life lessons through sports, you know what I mean? Right. So, just that in itself, I feel like being right here in this moment, in this class, it all came together for me. I've always wanted to talk about sports. I've been talking about making a little YouTube with my friends. We were going to talk about sports. I've been talking about that, doing that for a year. And now I feel like I really have enough information, and I can do it the right way with the right type of production. Because at first I didn't know how much hard work went into it, and I got to see it firsthand coming into this class. And I'm like, man, it's a lot of things that go into making things look clean. It's a lot of edits. It's a lot of little graphics, just the graphics popping up. I never really thought about it like that until I got to witness it firsthand. I'm like, all right, so there's a lot of hard work to go into this. And it's just amazing to see. I like to go back and watch our little broadcasts and our shows that we post, and it's just amazing to see, man.
That's good. So, like you explained, you're an athlete,
Right.
and is there any way you can compare being in here in the broadcast studio to
Definitely.
being on the court?
Definitely. As Colin and Garrison and Zach said earlier, this is a team. We all have important roles. If Cameron can't make it and you got to step up, well, I have to be prepared to be another guy to step up and to step up in your spot, and vice versa. We all prepared, and we all have to learn certain roles. I have to know how to operate a camera. I have to know how to. There was last game in the baseball game, we had a code red, and I was operating a TriCaster, and I knew what I was doing, right? But I was prepared for that moment,
Right.
And I was only prepared for that moment because of my teammates. They taught me and they showed me what I need to do in case we ever came across that situation. So it's definitely it's a team. We're a team, so you can compare it to sports easily.
That's great. Okay, well, all of you guys have been here for a little while, so what would be your favorite moment in this class? I'll go straight to you, Cam.
Ooh, my favorite moment. Well, unfortunately, I think my favorite moment was actually before either of these guys got here in the fall of my first semester. Zach touched on it in our last episode, or in the last episode of On Campus. It was a Vacaville versus Elk Grove playoff game. It was 100 points scored in that game. It was 52-48. Spoiler if you want to go watch that game. And it's the fog game. In the end of the first half, it was already super high scoring, but at halftime, fog completely rolled over, and it was almost impossible to see. And if you go back and look at the broadcast, it's so hard to see everything, but just that moment, the environment of high school football, especially at Vacaville in a playoff setting, It was roaring. We were at the very top of the bleachers. It's windy, there's the student section like right next to us. Kids are yelling at us, trying to get like our attention to throw us off, and there was a lot of adversity in that game, and I thought it was it really helped prepare me for that moment because a lot of things could have gone wrong. It's hard to see what was going on. I'm doing play-by-play, and I can barely see where the defenders are, who has the football, where the football is going, whether someone caught it or dropped it. So that was really fun. And honestly, other moments are really just sitting in the boardroom and just talking about sports. Like I say it all the time, like if we had a camera, if we had a mic in the boardroom, first of all, it might be a little dangerous, but second of all, the discussions we have back there are just much better than already the great discussions we have in front of the camera. It's
right.
It's pretty unfiltered, and we all have our hot takes. We all have we all sort of want to stake and stand by our points. We all are very passionate about our opinions. So I think just the environment, being able to talk sports with everybody in the class, that's the best part of being a part of the sports broadcasting program here.
That's good. How about you, Blake?
When you talked about your own personal things, I knew you were talking about Jalen Hurts to a debate. That's the first thing that went to my mind. So for me in particular, I mean, I've had some good moments on the broadcast. I mean, this one in particular this semester, 2-3 weeks ago, us three in the broadcast that in the park home run, we were all yelling, going crazy at the same time. I mean, I know that just happened, but actually for me, that was a really cool memory because, I mean, we were just all going crazy when he crossed the plate. But in particular, it was my first semester, and it was towards the end. We were just doing shows. We were doing an NBA playoff show to kind of get ready for the playoffs. Me, Cam, Garrison, and Sincere, who was in this class. Shout out Sincere, that's my boy.
Shout out Sincere.
That's the boy. We all like dressed up, got really nice. You know, we were fitted out. I mean, Garrison came in with a turtleneck gold chain on. He was rocking. You know,
that's right.
Yeah, we were all like dressed up. Sincere came in all flashy. I tried to do my best. I'm not very flashy, but we just, you know, that was a good show overall. It like felt like an inside. The studio, TNT, it felt exactly like that because there was 4 of us and just, you know, we were laughing, we were being serious, we were giving real good takes, hot takes, we were cracking jokes. You know, that felt really just genuine, and that's when I knew immediately I'm excited to do this next semester and however long I need to do this. That's when I knew. But, you know, from a broadcaster standpoint, I would say, me personally is, you know, when Cam kind of gave me the keys and said, here, do the women's game, do play-by-play. For me, that was exciting because, you know, I got to do something other than color. And, you know, I actually did enjoy play-by-play just a little more than color. But, you know, I am a stats guy, so I love to dig into the stats. But those were definitely some key moments for me, for sure.
That's good.
All around, though, I can't say I have had really a bad memory in this class.
That's great. That's great. How about you, Zay?
Well, I kind of compared to sports just because I got such a sports background. When I think about my past teams and all the good memories and whatnot, they're not necessarily always on a court or a football field. It's not a certain play or nothing like that. It's the locker rooms.
So relationships.
Right. And what, like the bus rides, you know, traveling together and all the things like that. So, and for us, that's kind of our little boardroom back then. You know, that's kind of our little locker room. And
it brings us together.
Right. And you kind of just, honestly, I think that's kind of what made me fall in love with this class, because my first time in there, we was just talking in that room for 45 minutes. And I knew 2 people in the room, and we was arguing, like having full blast arguments. And I was like, man, I could do this.
I remember the second you walked in, it was like, I don't remember what the first topic of discussion was, but I remember immediately like kind of going back and forth about something.
Whatever. Well, we always going back and forth about something. We could talk about the Warriors and Lakers right now, but we're not gonna do that.
Let's stop that.
But I think my best memory for this class is just all the shows that we do. You know, I love doing the broadcast and whatnot, but the shows that we do, you get to see our content, and we get to show off our knowledge of the game, and we get to show our relationships with our cast members and whatnot. And that's probably my favorite memory about this class. It's probably always gonna stick with me.
That's great. That's great. So having that experience behind the mic, what could you say to those who are continuing with the class and who would be a little afraid to join the class?
Well, first, people who are continuing the class, I think, you know, there's clearly some roles that need to be filled, I guess. Obviously, Blake's really looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to you taking a bigger role in doing play-by-play for the fall, and I think that'll be really fun for you doing football and basketball.
Yeah.
Because I think you only have one more semester to do.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, but we'll need, you know, a color commentator. We'll need color if you want to step in to do football, if Colin wants to step in to do football. Other people, maybe new students.
Definitely.
I know I've heard that maybe Miles wants to come in and do color for football.
Trying to get him in here.
Yeah. So I would say, you know, just sort of enjoy this class because, in my opinion, there's no other class I've ever taken that's like this. You know, there's no homework.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have a little bit of homework. I have to do prep work, but overall, the homework I have to do is it's not homework. I just it's fun. You get to just look at stats and players and stuff like that. But for new students, I would say if you are into sports, especially, if you like sports, if you've always watched sports on TV, play sports video games, whatever it is, look at sports stuff on on social media, you should totally join the class. Greg Poff he's going to be one of the best professors you've ever had. He makes your job super easy. He'll teach you how to do every single role. If you don't know what role you want to get into, then you'll find your way just by experience, trial and error. And so I would say if you're a new student and you're thinking about joining the program, sports background or not, if you like TV and film stuff, then you should 100% join the class because it's so much fun.
How you feel, Blake?
For me, for everybody returning, including myself, it's just, let's run it back, get back to work. We're going to have a pretty good amount of new people, I would assume, hopefully. So, we're going to have to, some of us are going to step into kind of training rules and kind of mental rules. Like, what do you want, like you, Jaeden, for example, you might be helping someone with the camera, or, Colin might be helping someone with the TriCaster, so forth. So just that, and, hopefully, Cam touched on it, you in the booth. I've already been recruiting Colin heavily since we got here. He can speak on that. So I'd like to work with one of you guys, whether it's one game or the rest of the semester. That I think would be fun. And for new people, I would say, I am a communications major. This is what I want to be doing. I took all of the communication classes before this one, and, Poff is a great professor. He'll work with you. If you want a certain role that maybe he doesn't see suit for you, you talk to him, he'll give you his advice, and then you decide, do you go for this role, or maybe you go for the role that Poff helps you, kind of create for you. And the other thing, too, is take, the communication classes you take before this one are going to come in handy. I took all communication classes with another professor, Janine Whitesell. She was awesome. Her and Poff are my favorite professors. They just understand communications, and they want you to succeed. And that also built me up for this class, because, you start off with this class, you got a lot of guts and a lot of heart. I respect it, but I promise you take a couple communication classes before that, intro, group, interpersonal culture, whatever you want to do. It'll really gear you up for this class in particular, and it'll really help you. So I would just say, come with an open mindset, but, also come a little prepared. Don't come to, what am I supposed to do? Kind of have some type of knowledge of maybe what you want to do. If it's a camera, TriCasting, working behind, working in the broadcast, something like that. Yeah. But also have an open mind is the main one.
Being ready for this class is probably the best advice.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. How about you, Zay?
I'll just pick it up right where you left off, because that's one of the big things I want to hit on. Just come with the open mind, man. There's so many new things and study habits and tips and tricks that you've taught me, Cam, that you didn't even know I was paying attention, but I was picking up on everything you was doing. Zach, too. Pretty much all you guys. I learned a lot from everybody that was already in this class. I picked up and I noted things from each and every one of you guys. And so obviously, I just want to say, be open to try different things in this class and develop new skills and whatnot. And secondly, I want to say, this is an environment where you can come and just be yourself and, just talk about things that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be sports. It could be whatever you want to. We have another crew that does shows, and they did an entire segment about movies and whatnot. So, there's plenty of different... I didn't want to say it, but there's plenty of different opportunities to develop new skills and talk about things you're passionate about. So, just be yourself. You can always just be yourself in this environment. And then lastly, certainly not least, Mr. Poff.
The GOAT.
Yeah. He's really the GOAT. He's one of my favorite professors I've ever had, and I've had quite a few professors in my lifetime. I've gotten around. It's been a long little career.
I'm right there with you. I understand.
Man, but, Poff, he's one of the best. So, having the opportunity to work with him and learn from him, it's something I wouldn't exchange for anything in the world.
That's great.
And then, real quick, for also another thing for the new kids coming into the class too, get involved in those border room discussions. That's how, all of us, my first semester, you touched on it. I didn't know nobody. I didn't know a soul. You knew people coming in. I didn't know nobody. And, sports brought us together, the debates, the hot takes, the whatever. That all brought us together, but at the same time, we have people sit back there and listen, but some people don't get involved.
Right.
Get involved. That's how, you make connections, friends you can build. You can come in and then 2 weeks, the class isn't, you're not shy anymore. You're talking with, Jaeden, hey, did you see that game last night? And it could be someone you just met. Like, that's the kind of things we built. Like, I built that especially with Cam and Garrison. Yeah. You in particular, Jacob, Zach. Like, we kind of, like, we built a group message. I mean, we talk, like, all the time now and stuff. And it's like, even after all this is done, when y'all leave, like, I hope to hang out with y'all, go get a drink, go watch a sports game, talk about sports, right. That type of thing. Like, that's the connections you can build here.
Yeah, it's so many different personalities, and we just all come together, and man, it's just a beautiful thing to see, honestly, man.
It's just the main thing is you got to apply yourself in whatever way you can. Open mindset and applying yourself, and you can succeed at just about anything.
I like that. Well, I wish we could go longer. I want to thank each of you, Zay, Blake, and Cam. I know, Blake, me and you were going to run it back next semester.
Yeah. Run it back, Turbo.
Most definitely. But I want to say thank you guys individually, and I want to thank you for tuning in on the Solano College Sports Network on this special broadcast of On Campus. I'm your host, Jaeden Smith, and we'll see you next time.